one of the things I hear a lot from folks is our clients have lost trust, or they're beginning to lose trust with us. Maybe things aren't going well, projects are taking longer, things are slipping through the cracks, and they start to lose trust. And when clients lose trust on a construction project, they start to nitpick, punch lists become really tough, they start to micromanage, they ask lots of questions, and there are these symptoms of low trust. And some people would say, well, once you lose that trust, you just can't get it back. Hey, welcome to the Construction Leading Edge podcast. I'm Todd Dawalt, and I'm joined by Leyah Hostetter, our Director of Customer Success, and Monish, our coach and CEO Alliance. What would you call yourself, Monish? What do you want to call yourself?
A facilitator.
Facilitator in an Australian accent. Whatever you say in an Australian accent sounds better. So I like it. And so we got the team together, and the reason we're together and what we're going to talk about today is we had an advance live meetup in Del Mar, California a few weeks ago in early March. And we had 25 or 30 of our clients get together for 2 days, a group of mostly CEO Alliance members, some folks who've gone through our Systematize Your Construction Business program. And we created an opportunity for people to get away from their daily dumpster fires of their business, come to a beautiful location, and then spend 2 days working on their business surrounded by a group of like-minded construction business owners. And there were quite a few takeaways. So we wanted to share some of these takeaways. There were some big picture takeaways and some very tactical, practical takeaways, some granular things. And we wanted to share that out with the group for folks who weren't there and to give you a sense of what kind of stuff happens at these live meetups. So we just have a few things we're going to go around the table and share. So, Monish, you can go first. What was one of your takeaways from the live meetup?
Well, there was a fair few. I think the best part, is everyone coming together from wherever they normally live, and people actually getting to hang out with 25, 30 people who are exactly like them, in the sense that they're construction business owners. You don't normally have friends or family that are doing a similar thing as that in you. And so a lot of what you're going through, you find, so is everyone else in the room. It's very relatable, especially given current market conditions, the labor shortage and things like that as well. Everyone's dealing with the same macro problems. And everyone has, most times, succeeded in solving those problems in the past, and they'll tell you what they did. So you can kind of avoid making those mistakes yourself and basically learn from someone else's at someone else's expense. But one of the best things, we've had a few of these now, and most of these people tend to come every time because we have them once every 6 months or so. And what's been a recurring theme is construction business CEOs trying to figure out what construction business CEO is supposed to do on a day-to-day or a weekly basis. And when on day one, I asked the room how many people here are operating as are CEOs in their business, and all the hands went up. And when I asked how many people are actually operating as the CEO and not owning any other job as the business, there was not a single hand that went up at that point. And it was interesting. We dived into, what a CEO is supposed to do, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and how to actually utilize those strengths and delegate the weaknesses to other members of the team. And at that point, most of the room admitted that their weakness is financial management. They're just not, they're not finance people in their own terms. They're all visionaries. They think big picture. They don't want to get bogged down into, the dollars and cents of every day. However, that's pretty important for any business to survive and to thrive. And on day two, we had a bunch of our clients, our CEO Alliance members, share their revenue maximizers on the big screen, which is, as you guys know, one of our tools to actually forecast your revenue and profit going the next 6 and 12 months. And these guys shared on the screen exactly what their business is doing financially and what the plan is moving forward, the actual dollars and cents, right? Which you never get that opportunity in day-to-day life to look under the hood at another business. You always see on Instagram what someone's doing, but that doesn't tell you the full story, because someone that's, has the perception of success may not be doing that well financially. And this gives you an idea of what other people are doing, how much they're making, and allows you to give a more accurate comparison to your business. And I think, that's invaluable. You're not going to get that anywhere else. And the people that shared, I really appreciate them doing that, because it comes from a place of vulnerability. Like, they're really showing their secret sauce, which they haven't really shared with even their family and friends. And you most often don't talk about money, right? It's like this taboo subject. Whereas in this format, they're revealing what they're doing well, what they're not doing well, and how they're making informed decisions based on the finances. I think that was quite great. That was my highlight for the event.
Yeah. And one presentation in particular was really powerful. One of our members put up his revenue maximizer, and he said, look, last year was bad. We had a bad year, and we had to make some changes. And he was very transparent, very vulnerable. And it took a lot of courage to get up there and stand in front of other people and say, look, things didn't go well last year. And that was incredibly powerful and really helpful for a lot of other people. And I think it was helpful for him too, knowing that he had the support. And what he told me was when he knew he had to make changes was when he went through his revenue maximizer with you, Monish, and you told him, like, look, if you don't do something, you're going to be out of business in a few months. So that's one of the benefits of the revenue maximizer is you can see problems coming down the road, and it gives you time to adjust. But yeah, I was going to say, and it's objective, because the reason he was in his current situation is he had a great team with him that, he loves. He treats his employees as his family. And he found himself in a situation where he was caught in this cycle where he kept taking on jobs just to keep them busy, just to keep them employed. But they weren't the right jobs for the business in its entirety. And so, the numbers reveal that if you keep doing this, the business won't exist. And unfortunately, you need to let go of a few team members, become a bit leaner, and then start aiming for jobs that are profitable and that are better for the business in the long term. And the revenue maximizer helped him, remove his emotions and actually make those decisions based on what's right for the greater good. Yeah. Yeah, that statement, we just have to keep the guys busy, is actually something that shows up in a study that we've been talking about recently, the 5 root causes of contractor failure, why successful contractors self-destruct. One of those statements is that was heard a lot in companies that failed is, we just have to keep our guys busy. And that is not, the level of busyness of the guys is not a good indicator of success. And in fact, it's a bit of a red flag. Yeah. Mm. Speaking of the revenue maximizer, one of the very granular things that I really liked was one of our members, Michael, put his up, and he had an interesting line on his revenue maximizer. It was a vacation fund. And that was part of his financial forecast. Was he realized, hey, instead of he realized, I don't like dipping into savings to take a big vacation. I never liked that. It never felt good. It feels a lot better to just pay for it in advance. So he puts a certain amount of money in his revenue plan each month to take a big vacation every year. And by the time he goes on the vacation, it's all paid for. And he feels great about it. He doesn't have to worry about it. So I really I recommend everybody put a vacation fund in your revenue maximizer and just plan for it. Yep. I do. Yeah.
Well, the way he said it was, if he because he didn't used to put it, he didn't used to project for that to happen. He would think that he'll just get to a point where he'll look at his savings and go, all right, I've got enough to go on vacation now. But that just would never eventuate, because usually, by then things are booked out. It's too late to make reservations and all that sort of stuff. So he just didn't end up going on vacations, even though he had the money. And so now that he's projecting that, he's going, right, I'm going to book now, because by the time 6 months from now I'm actually going on vacation, it's going to be fully paid off and everything's going to be reserved. So it's helped him look into the future and make decisions today.
Yeah, I like that. Leyah, how about you? What was one of your big takeaways from the live meetup?
I think just piggybacking on what Monish was sharing in that session, where folks they were opening the curtains and showing things that they probably hadn't shared with others. And there certainly has to be a level of trust before you can be that vulnerable. But it was really cool to be able to watch the group celebrate each other's wins, as well as to kind of rally around the gentleman that we spoke about. And all right, well, have you thought about this? And why don't you try this? So everybody there wanted to contribute. They wanted to help. And I think that's what's so cool about this community. And I'll use that word community versus networking, right? Because so many of our clients, when they come to these events, that's what they love. And they'll use the word networking, but really they're investing in and promoting a community of people like themselves who want to be successful and want to help others. And everybody does that. Everyone's drinking the Kool-Aid. And I think that's one of the coolest parts about this, is how invested every person is, not only in their own progression and doing things better and getting great results for themselves, but they want to help everybody else. And I think that's a pretty unique environment that this group has created, right? I think, especially sometimes in construction, there can be some big egos and folks don't necessarily want to share this. But that's some of the magic, I think, that happens at these events, is everybody wants to share. Everybody's there and willing. So I love that. I think that's one of the best parts about this, is having that. I think there were several different presentations that were really great. I spoke a little bit about trust, and it's interesting, just as you were sharing this, Monish, I was thinking about the level of trust that this group has to even be able to do what we did there, right? But at a high level, when we talk about trust, I personally believe it's the foundation of leadership, because if you don't have trust, you're not much of a leader, or there won't be the ability for people to follow, because if trust is eroded, and I probably don't even need to explain all of that, I'm sure everyone can understand why that's so important. But in any relationship, which that is what business is, right? It's built on relationships. When we have high trust, business moves quickly and it doesn't cost as much. Whereas if it's the opposite, business moves slow because everyone's covering their CYA essentially, and it costs a lot more. And so investing in trust is really important. And one of the things that I talked about was kind of a 3-step approach to either reforming trust, if there's been a dip in trust with someone, or building trust initially. And I think these principles can be used all the time. But it's really 3 different things. And the first is declaring intent. So setting an expectation. And you could really use these 3 steps in every relationship, even if we're thinking about our customers and how we're engaging with them. So it's what you say you want to do and why. So you're setting an expectation. And the second part is signaling behavior. And then you're saying exactly what that's going to look like. And the third step is deliver. So just doing it. And what's interesting about these 3 steps is that third step can get you to that place of trust. But instigating those first 2, declaring intent and signaling behavior, will build trust much faster than if we are just simply performing in a certain way. And so I think that's just an important thing to think about, is setting the expectation. And part of that is sharing exactly what that looks like and then delivering on it.
I think there was a couple of pivotal points there where, the people in the room realized that they've always thought about the client trusting them or their business, and then them trusting their employees. They've always seen that trust as a one-way relationship. And I think you open their eyes to, no, your employees also need to trust you. Your employees also need to trust your client. It's a mutual thing. You need to actually build on that trust, like you were just saying. So it's changed how they're actually interacting and communicating with their employees now as well.
Yeah, it's been fun to hear some of the feedback from that. It just is cool to be able to look at something from a different angle in a way that you don't consider it initially, just like what you mentioned, Monish.
So let's talk about this a little bit. There was some good conversation about those 3 steps: declare intent, signal behavior, and deliver. I think some people are probably listening thinking, why don't I just do my freaking job? Why don't I just deliver? Won't that build the trust? So let's talk about a couple of examples, what this actually looks like, say with a client. So you have building a custom home, or it's a commercial project, you have a client. What would be a specific example of declaring intent and signaling behavior? What do you think, Leyah? So we can put a finer point on this for folks.
Yeah, and I think a client relationship is a good way to kind of illustrate this. I've talked on this podcast a couple times about creating a customer journey, but I think that is one way that you can declare intent, right? You have a customer come to you and you say, this is what it looks like to work with us. So that is declaring intent. That's setting the expectation of what they can expect with you. And then that signaling behavior is along this customer journey. Here's an example. Along this customer journey, we are going to proactively reach out to you. That will look like a call every week. That will look like an email every week, something like that. So those 2 things alone, you're setting an expectation. That's the declare intent. You're signaling behavior. You're telling them exactly what that's going to look like. And then the third and probably most important with that is delivering, right? We actually get ourselves into some big trouble if we do number 1 and 2 and we don't follow through with number 3. Yeah. So they have to go together, but you will build that trust and it will become more, it will be strengthened more so if we start with step 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's really good. Here's what we're going to do. And then, hey, we're doing what we said we were going to do. And then deliver the result. Yeah. And I think this is really powerful for restoring trust.
Yes.
One of the things I hear a lot from folks is our clients have lost trust, or they're beginning to lose trust with us. Maybe things aren't going well, projects are taking longer, things are slipping through the cracks, and they start to lose trust. And when clients lose trust on a construction project, they start to nitpick, punch lists become really tough, they start to micromanage, they ask lots of questions, and there are these symptoms of low trust. And some people would say, well, once you lose that trust, you just can't get it back. You're just going to have to ride it out until the end. But with this 3-step process, you can restore trust with a client who maybe where it's been eroded a little bit. With an employee, same thing. This also applies in relationships, your marriage, with your kids. If you have kids that do boneheaded things, this is a way for them to restore that trust. It's declare intent, signal behavior, deliver, and then just repeat that cycle. And I think it's so simple, but it's very powerful.
A good example, while it comes to mind of that particular thing with the clients is we've had a lot of, clients that have gone through our program and they're putting together their systems and processes for both pre-construction and construction. And a lot of them are now on that initial, courting period with a client. They're actually showing them what their process is. And that's giving the client so much more reinforcement that, so this means the contractor is in the driver's seat and we can just sit in the back and chill out. And they're going to take us to where we need to. Exactly. Yeah. And then, as you said, you got to follow through on it as well. So you just can't show them that this is what I'm going to do and then not do it.
I think that's an important, so I want to go back to what you were talking about with restoring trust, Todd, because those 3 steps 100% will work. But I think there is one more step that you have to add in if trust needs to be restored. And it's acknowledging that there was a slip up or a failure in trust somewhere, right? I think if we just brush that aside and don't acknowledge that something happened, it festers. Even if you do these 3 things really well after that, you have to acknowledge it. You just have to say, hey, you know what? We dropped the ball. I'm sorry. But from here on out, We want to restore this. We want to make this right. And this is how we're going to do it. So I think that's just an important thing to remember, no matter what that relationship is. I think even more so with the relationships that matter the most to us, right? Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
We had in Del Mar, we had a lot of CEOs, but for the events, some of them brought their COOs or their integrators along with them, or some of their, team members with them, some business partners as well. And I think, after going through the trust exercise, it also was revealed how symbiotic the relationship is between the visionary and an integrator. And I think this was the first time we had integrators come to the advance, and it was really interesting hearing their perspective, because, when the fear for most business owners is like, I can't hand the keys to someone else. I can't step away and let someone else run the business. What happens if they're not the right person? What happens if they just leave and start their own business and take it away from me and stuff like that? And it was really interesting hearing from the integrator saying, well, I'm not actually interested in that. I'm not a visionary. I'm very good at following through on someone else's ideas, on someone else's strategic vision. But, someone else needs to come up with that. I simply can't. And they actually prefer being a part of that structured environment. And that was quite eye-opening for, we had a few CEOs there that have held on to that fear and haven't hired a CEO or an integrator, or haven't promoted someone to that role. And a few of the guys after the event, the feedback was that, hey, I had this person in my organization. I've had them here for a while, and I've realized they're my integrator. And now we're working together for me to let go of some things to them. And, and they're following that 3-step plan to actually build that trust and delegate things properly.
Hey, it's Todd here, and we have a couple of free resources that we want to get in your hands. First is our free training video, Get Out of Your Construction Business, How to Make It Run Without You this year. Here's what you're going to get when you sign up for this free training video. You'll learn about the JETS thinking trap, which stands for just enough to start. That's probably keeping you stuck working in your business, and it keeps you stuck in firefighting mode, and it affects probably 90% of construction businesses. You'll also learn about the first few crucial steps you want to take if you want to spend more time working on your business instead of being stuck working in it. And you'll learn what nailing the handoff looks like and how it will help you eliminate 80% of your preventable schedule delays and profit bleeds. You can get your hands on that free video over at constructionleadingedge.com/get out. constructionleadingedge.com/GETOUT. And the second thing is a question. Here's a question. Is your business structured for success, or is it designed for failure? We found a study and found that there are 5 root causes of contractor failure, 5 primary reasons that successful contractors self-destruct. All right. This is information that we feel like every construction business owner should know about. You should know about it for 2 reasons. If you're a general contractor, 1, you need to find out if your business is structured for success. And if you're a general contractor and you have subcontractors, you may want to ask this question: are your subs structured for success or structured for failure? And if you would like to evaluate your business to see if it's designed for success, the next step is to apply for a business evaluation call with my team. We'll go through these 5 root causes of failure, evaluate your business, and then give you some pointers. Highlight the red flags, the early indicators that you may want to focus your energy on. And if it makes sense, we can talk through the details of our Systematize Your Construction Business program that will ensure it is structured for success. If you would like to schedule your free business evaluation, go to constructionleadingedge.com/apply, APPLY, or simply go to our website, constructionleadingedge.com, and tap the Apply Now button. Now, let's get back to the episode. Well, I'll talk about one of the big takeaways related to integrators in just a minute. But going back to, I think, Monish, you mentioned when we're talking about declaring intent and signaling behavior through the pre-construction process. It reminded me of something that Bill, one of our CEO Alliance members, shared with you, Leyah. I'll just read through this. He said, I wanted to share an experience that I had this morning with a new client. We've been chatting a bit for a few months about their new build. I took them on a tour of several of our homes. Up until this point, we hadn't really discussed our process in great deal, only hitting on the large bullet points. While his wife was writing the check for a pre-construction services agreement, I began explaining to the husband how the pre-construction process would work, the details we would get into, and how important it would be for the success of their build. After explaining this for several minutes, I reached the end of my pitch and waited for a response. The husband paused for about 10 seconds, looked up at me and said, "I can't tell you how much respect I have for that." That was one of the biggest compliments I think I've had at a signing. It was a great feeling. So he was...
And Bill's owned his business for about 25 years. So, it's a long time coming.
Yeah. So... the pre-construction process, saying this is how we do it. This is our pre-construction process. Having a documented process is a great way to declare intent. And actually, I think that I'm convinced that having documented processes, having a this is how we do it manual, differentiates you from all of the other fly-by-night, fly by the seat of their pants. Maybe they're established contractors or builders, but they don't have documented processes. They're just kind of winging it. Everything is in the owner's head. There's no customer roadmap. There's no documented processes. That builds a lot of trust, and it's a very powerful way to do that. Going back to the integrator conversation, one of my big takeaways was actually from a pre-meeting that one of the Alpha Group, or one of the CEO Alliance groups, had. They've been working on this thing that's called we've been calling it the Green Box Initiative. And it comes from something on Twitter where a guy basically said, look, if I die, there's a green box on my desk that has all of the important information in it. So we've been working on business continuity. What happens if the owner is incapacitated or the owner dies? And one of our members, Jerry, said at a previous live meetup, he put it pretty well. He said, it's almost like I feel like we have a moral obligation to set up our business to run without us in case something happens to me. So as we went through this process, it started with, okay, how do we just compile all of the information that a surviving spouse or a surviving employee would need to be able to run the business, like life insurance policies, bank accounts. And then as we went down this rabbit hole, it became more apparent there were some bigger questions like, what happens with these projects that we have running? How does the business continue on if the owner is incapacitated or dies? And what if their surviving spouse doesn't want to continue the business, or they're not involved in the business? Then who picks up the balls that the owner was juggling? And it became very apparent that the best way to guarantee success in that event, the best way to guarantee business continuity, is for the owner to get out of all day-to-day operations, to truly be in the CEO or the visionary seat and have people in place to run the business. And they truly run the CEO operates in an advisory and an ownership role, not in operations. So this is something we'll be talking about some more. The reality is it's going to happen to 100% of us, right? We're all going to die at some point. And business owners die every day. And unfortunately, they have to close their doors. Or one of our members' spouses shared a story when we were talking about this. And she said, I remember being in the hospital when she said her dad had a heart attack while they were on vacation. And she recalled being in the hospital. Her dad was in bed, not sure if he was going to survive. And he had his wife with a notepad, and he's just telling her everything that he can remember about the business, where things are, who to talk to in that state. And fortunately, he survived and he's fine. But just think about what would happen if you business owners who are listening, what would happen if you passed away? There's a pretty good chance that your business would just stop. So it became very apparent that the best way to maintain business continuity is to hire someone to be your integrator, to run the business and get yourself out of day-to-day operations. And that was really one of the biggest takeaways for me. Let's see, Monish, what else? Any other big takeaways for you?
I think just adding to the trust thing, I suppose. After the first day's presentations and events were done, we had a couple of hours in the afternoon to chill out, and then we all went out to dinner together. In various groups. But in the afternoon, it was interesting to see one of our clients, Travis. He'd brought 2 people from his team to join him, and I saw them just outside the resort. All 3 of them were heading down to the beach for a long walk on the beach, so that they could discuss what happened during the day and what they're going to take away and implement from there, which was really cool. Like you don't normally in your regular week say to your integrator and whoever else hey, do you guys want to go for a quick walk and we can chat about what the day was. So I think it was great for them to have that time outside the office and in a completely different environment as well.
Yeah, definitely. Leyah, how about you?
I was just going to I did want to say something about the walk and talk and thinking. And I'm totally going to butcher this, but I know there's a study that's been done that if you're actually moving as you're talking through things and collaborating, greater ideas come to you. There's something about that movement. So that's just a little tip for those of you who maybe are looking for ways to connect with your team in a different way. Maybe don't sit down in the office. Maybe you get out and go on a little walk and talk through some things. That was really cool to see. This was Travis's first event with us, and he did bring a team. And that was really cool to see not only a CEO, but also an integrator and other folks from his team who were there and seeing things from a different perspective. And I think that opened up an element of these events that we probably haven't had before, because it's typically just the business owners. And several of them came to me after and said, we should do this. I want to invite someone from my team. I want my integrator to come. So I think it's just an opportunity that they found in this that we haven't really capitalized on yet, but bringing your team into this, bringing key people into helping you create like a truly well-run business so you can be a business owner and not stuck in the day-to-day. That was really cool to be able to kind of see the wheels spinning with our clients, thinking through that.
And it gave the integrators exposure to how much these guys actually deal with. Yes. It's not just like, yeah, you're doing my job now and I'm going to go home and watch TV. It doesn't really work like that. Right? And there's a lot of pressure to being a CEO. And once they saw that side of it, the integrator was like, all right, we now know to leave you alone much more. In fact, like you need the time and the space to do all the strategic planning and make all these informed decisions as well. Yeah, mutually beneficial.
There were comments about that too. I think we had heard from on both sides of that, right? Recognizing, I think from an integrator's viewpoint, saying, wow, there's so much more that they're doing that I'm not even aware of. These are like conversations at the dinner table with their family and sleepless nights and all the things that we're hoping to help business owners get out of. But there's a lot. And I think having a solid integrator along with you as a CEO is really the key to becoming a true business owner. So it was cool to be able to see the perspectives from both sides.
Let's talk about community a little bit. What maybe the tangible benefits of this community are. Monish, what have you seen? What would you say are some of the tangible benefits of having a community and being part of a community like this?
Well, in your local region or market, you tend to not want to share too much, even with contractors who might be your friends. Like you might say, yeah, we've known each other for years, but you're still competitors. So you're not open and willing to share everything you do. Whereas when you come to this sort of event and you're in this community where, again, there's the trust, everyone's, working on the same things in their business, you're more open to revealing things that you don't reveal to your competitors. And to be honest, things that you don't want to reveal to your family as well, because there might be certain things that are stressing you out and you don't want to transfer that stress across to other people. So, you end up at a table with these bunch of other CEOs going through very similar things, and you're able to bounce off ideas off them and be completely vulnerable, open and honest, and you'll get genuine feedback. People actually want to help you because at some point you help them and vice versa. And so I think that's, we try and structure these days to have the presentations and give the most value to our clients. But in my opinion, the best value comes after dinner when people are having a couple of drinks and, getting into much deeper conversations. And you can do that because it feels like you've known these people forever. You couldn't do that going to a normal networking event where you've never known or met people before.
Yeah. One of our members and longtime advance attendees, Andy, talked about, he said he went to a meetup with other builders with his wife. And after one evening of Andy hanging out with and talking with all these other builders, she said, "Who are you? Like, you're like normally standing over in the corner looking, just ready to leave, but I've never seen this guy. Like, you're engaging, laughing, and just extroverted. Like, who are you?" And Andy said, "Hey, I'm with my people. I'm with my people." That's what we see a lot of. It's so interesting. We have this critical mass of people now, and then when new folks come in, they just immediately level up. It's like they've known each other for years, and they're so open. And one of the things I'm so impressed by is probably two things: the generosity of the group. Everybody is so willing to share. For example, after one of the sessions, somebody had a question like, "Hey, could we look at co-construct and builder trend as a group and just have an open forum about this?" People were just opening up their laptops. "Sure, I'll show you this. I'll walk you through my entire process." So generous, so giving. And then the other thing is there's no chest pounding. There's no pride. There's a lot of humility, I guess is what I would call it. As Leyah, you mentioned, sometimes you get a bunch of contractors together. It might be an ego, might be a lot of ego, but there's none of that. It's a very humble, generous group, very successful guys and gals who have grown their businesses tremendously and are very successful, but very humble at the same time. And one of the interesting nuances of this community that I never would have expected would be we have spouses who come now, and spouses get to know each other. And I realized this a few years ago at an event where we had a group dinner with several spouses, but being the spouse of a construction business owner is very stressful because in many cases, the owner comes home and he's sharing all of these problems and issues with his wife, and she's feeling it, but there's nothing she can do about it. And that is a very stressful place to be. And having connections with other spouses of construction business owners is very helpful, very, very beneficial part of that community. Leyah, what about you? What sort of tangible benefits do you see from this community? What are people getting out of it?
Just everything you guys said, but I would also say we have fun at these events too. So, we try to keep the sessions to where people feel rejuvenated and renewed and excited about going back to their business. We don't want folks to walk away feeling like overloaded and overburdened with, "Oh man, there's something else I need to do in my business." And I think we've done a pretty good job of that to get people excited about what's next and what they could do next. But beyond that, like Monish said, probably the greatest value is after the events. when folks are able to really just kick back and relax and get to know each other and continue to build those relationships. And I think this is where, we're talking about trust. You don't get to have a group like this that's vulnerable and is willing to help and to share with one another unless every person there is extending that trust. And then also not always honoring that trust, I guess, is maybe a good way to say that. So it's a good group of people. They're good men and women who are doing great things, and everybody just has a great time together. And I think that's one of the greatest values of this, is also just coming together and laughing and having fun, and also making it very productive and inspiring.
And singing karaoke as well.
That too.
I missed out on it, unfortunately, but I heard you guys both crushed it at the karaoke bar in San Diego. Well done.
Yep, you'll have to show up next time.
Yes, that might be a mandatory part of the program. Is
karaoke. I want to bring up how that came about. So with the Charlie CEO Alliance group, we set this accountability challenge. Right, everyone picked certain goals, and the idea was you get your goals complete before the live meetup. If you don't, you owe each other group member $100. And you have to sing a humiliating song at karaoke that the rest of the group chooses for you. Lo and behold, everyone got all their stuff done, so no one owed anyone anything. But everyone was like, "Well, this karaoke hype has been building up, so we want to go anyway." And we ended up all going out and having a good time.
There is no better form of accountability that I know of than the risk of public humiliation. That will get people to take action, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And so I wanted to read a couple of things people shared, some of the feedback that I liked. This is from Nate, said this. It's probably when the question was, if a construction business owner called you and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about going to the advance. Why should I go?" What would you say to them? Nate said, "It's probably the best way to surround yourself with other professional builders that have the same struggles that you do. It's a superior way to gain insight on your own business by talking to others about theirs and how they handle similar problems, situations, and opportunities." Then I like what Alex said. Alex is a deep thinker. He said, "We as humans eat food and drink water to survive and thrive. As a construction CEO, the advance will give you the tools to survive the rigors of our job, as well as the clarity of what we need to do to thrive." Well put. Well put. Yep. Okay. So big takeaways. Trust was a big one. Community, fun, transparency. And then from a practical standpoint, set your business up so it runs without you. That's really, really what it's about. Anything else before we wrap up? Any final thoughts or anything else you want to share? Leyah, how about you?
I think just an invitation. If this is something you're looking for, that community, and you want to continue to grow and personally and in your business, then you definitely want to give this a look, because it's worth it in every sense of the word.
Yep. Monish, how about you? Anything else that you want to share about it?
Yeah, I think the next one we've got coming up is in Naples, November 7th and 8th. And, just like if you're looking for motivation, that room in Naples where we hold the event, you look on the left side of the room and it's like these multi-million-dollar yachts. And you look on the other side and there's these private jets landing. So you just walk into the room going, all right, I want to do more with my business. You don't, it's just that environment itself is motivating enough. And then you add everything else to it.
Yeah. There's the old saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. So if you want to change your outputs and results, one of the best things you can do is start hanging around high-performing people. And this is a group of high-performing people. I think nobody wants to show up to a CEO Alliance call and not do their stuff. Nobody wants to show up to a live meetup and hear all of these great results people are getting and not do anything. So sometimes You just need to get in the room. You need to get into a different room.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get around different people and get yourself into an environment like Naples. Has Port Royal in the Naples area is one of the wealthiest zip codes in the country. So sometimes you just need to be around people who are doing things differently than you. Might be a little uncomfortable at times. There's a risk of discomfort rather. But that's how you get better, is by getting around other people. So if you don't like the results you're getting, you need to do something different. You need to be around different people, and they will stretch you to do those things. So great stuff. Thanks to both of you. Leyah, especially to you for all of the work you did orchestrating this event, planning out all the details, finding the venue, which was fantastic. The L'Auberge Resort in Del Mar, California was amazing. And everything was just fantastic. Thanks for all the hard work there. Monish, thanks for making the trip from Australia. You definitely won the award for furthest to travel, and also for the sessions you did. And it means a lot. It's very, very incredible. So great stuff. Thanks for everything you guys do. And if you're interested, if you're listening and you're interested in the next live meetup, save the date, November 7th and 8th, 2024. And these events are currently limited to people who are in or have gone through our Systematize Your Construction Business program and our CEO Alliance members. So if you want to learn more about that, stick around. There'll probably be some more details at the end of this podcast episode. So Leyah, Monish, thanks so much. We'll see you around. Hey guys, Todd here. Thanks for listening. 2 things before you get out of here. A couple of resources I want to get in your hands. First is that free masterclass, Get Out of Your Construction Business, how to make it run without you. Learn about the JETS trap that's keeping you stuck working in your business. Learn the first few crucial steps if you want to spend more time working on your business instead of working in it. And learn how to nail the handoff to make your phone stop ringing. You can get that free masterclass by going to constructionleadingetch.com/get out, GETOUT. The second thing is your business designed for success, or is it designed for failure? We did a study and found that there are 5 root causes of contractor failure, 5 reasons that successful construction businesses self-destruct after studying hundreds of successful companies. This is information we feel like every construction business owner needs to look at. So if you would like to evaluate your business and learn, is your business designed for success or designed for failure, then the next step is to apply for a free business evaluation call with my team. We'll get on a call. We'll go through those 5 root causes of failure, share those with you. We'll evaluate your business, see where there might be some early leading indicators or some early signs that you want to jump on. And then if it makes sense, we'll talk through the details of our Systematize Your Construction Business program. So to schedule your free business evaluation call, head over to constructionleadingetch.com/apply, APPLY, or go to our website, constructionleadingetch.com, and tap the Apply Now button. Those links are probably going to be in the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube, they'll be in the notes below this video. And as always, thanks for listening. If you get value out of this podcast, if you could share this with somebody, if you could leave a rating and or a review on the podcast player of your choice, that would mean a lot to me and help spread the word out there. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.